Okay, it's Tuesday, July 18th. This is an end of the day SPY recap, and today we end up with a two-up green bar after two kind of sideways days. We stayed above the midpoint of the green day. In a second, I'll show you we moved up early on in the session, and then we moved up almost all session long. So if we go to the 15-minute chart, again, that was going to be, we had a key reference point. Let me go back to the daily chart, that if this whole week was going to fail now after Monday, we were going to have to get below the midpoint of that day and below the open of Monday and turn that weekly chart, back to red if we were going to maybe fill in some of these gaps, if we were going to have a failure. But right out of the gates, if you look at the pre-market range between the blue lines, price immediately moved up on the first bar. Second bar went up. Once it made that new high here on bar number 2, that was sort of a window that you were going to test, yesterday's high. And then see what happens from there. So that was a good entry right there to test yesterday's high. When you have that green bar from yesterday and you start below it and you get the green bar kind of heading up, there's a good chance you're going to at least take out that high. And then if you were going to fail at that point, you would have to come all the way back through the halfway point of that first bar. But you kind of watch closely. Once it takes out that high, what happens in there? And immediately it went right through it, never even paused, which you kind of expect. And that sort of led the way for then kind of one push up, a little pause, and almost a second push up. Just a directional day all day long. Again, in the big picture, this is the weekly chart. We're just continuing, we're following through. We kind of anticipated, making a new high. We did that on Monday, but then we followed through a little bit more today. So this weekly chart, until we get below the open, is still green and heading higher. And I've been discussing in the big picture on this quarterly chart, monthly and quarterly, but this is a quarterly chart. Ever since this big red bar and we broadened out down here and then made a 2-up bar, I've been looking to take out the high of that bar. So that high is 45.78, and now we've gotten as high as 45.48 or something like that. So about 30 points away. We're getting close to there. If we look at the monthly chart, it's just, it's kind of a continuation higher after this big breakout. And, we have these triple highs up here as a target. So that's where we're heading. And again, that's why, some of these days are very strong to the upside. It's certainly, you're anticipating some pauses along the way, but there's some gaps to fill if it wants to do that. But now we have good reference points. First of all, now on the weekly chart, as long as we stay above this open, we have 3 more days to go. We'll continue to expect higher. We know, now that you have a big red day, a green day, you have a little bit of exhaustion risk to the upside. But as long as we hold the midpoint of this day, we'll at least expect this high to be taken out tomorrow and then see what happens. At any moment you could have certain failures or certain little short-term pullbacks to take out some liquidity on the downside on the 15-minute chart. There might be, we might hit up tomorrow and then we'll see. I can see these triple lows down here. Maybe you come down a little bit, but you hold the midpoint. So we'll have to see how structure unfolds. But today was the just a good opportunity, structure-wise, to get in at the beginning of the day. And as it turned out, you got to your target and never, even had to look back at all, and you continued much higher. So good 2-up day today. We still have targets up here, that 45.70 area up there. So maybe this week is where we finally broaden out on that quarterly chart. And then from there, we got to analyze the big picture. You've broadened out. Maybe there's a, that's the pause kind of area on this big move up that we've been experiencing. But good day for trading today to the upside. A lot of stocks also had similar kind of looks to it. So we will see what happens tomorrow.